It is time to learn how to interact with real people who may be using your computer programs. Open up a new Colab notebook and call this one input function. So programming is not just about numbers, it's definitely about human language. We interact with people using the computer. And in Python, the input function is one way that you can do that. So go ahead and type in the keyword input with the parentheses because it is a function. And then you can see it's color-coded, indicating that this is a global keyword in Python. Now, the input is what the user, which is someone using your program, will see. So perhaps you want to ask a question like, what is your name? Okay. So let's get that code up there and then go ahead and run it so you can see what it does. So press Shift-Enter. Colab will work for a minute, and then you're going to see something different than what you've seen before. This is interesting. You can see here that the coding cell is still sort of working, right? It's still running. It actually hasn't completed. And the reason why is because it's waiting for input. You can see this rectangular box, and there's a cursor inside suggesting that something should be written to the response, what is your name? So I'll put in my name, feel free to put in yours, or any string really will be fine. And then you can see when you put it in, it's still waiting, so simply press return and the code completes. Okay, so that's a first step. What might a second step be? Well, typically when you're interacting with the user and you get information from the user, you want to say, save that information so that you can use it going forward. Like if you ask someone, what is your name? You could then acknowledge their name by giving them a greeting. So let's try that. So to save the user input, you simply save the input function. So if I put in the variable name and then maybe copy over this input, what is your name? And so this time when I enter my name, it's going to save as the variable name. And so on the next line, I could print something out such as nice to meet you, and then the person's name. Okay, and if I want to put the variable name in there, I need an F string. Now, if I try putting brackets in here, okay, note the color coding. It is still just a regular string. It's going to include those brackets. You need to put at the beginning of your string the F. That's how you can convert a given string into an F string. Note the change in color. Okay, maybe put a period at the end. And let's go ahead and run this code. So we've got two lines here. The input, which is now going to store as a variable, and then we're going to use that variable in the printout that follows. Okay, so get the code up, take a moment, and then when you're ready, go ahead and press Shift-Enter and engage with the computer. Okay, so you can see the question comes up, what is your name? I will give my name again, and then press Return. It says, nice to meet you, Corey. Now, a couple little modifications I like to make here. One is sometimes when you look at the output, you might say, okay, I like a comma there. And note that the name, like it runs close. It runs immediately next to it. And I think it looks cleaner if you do it on the next line. So you could do like \n for new line. Okay, recall that's the escape character. Okay, so trying it one more time with those modifications. Feel free to make any other modifications that you think will improve the code. There we see what is your name, and now the rectangular box is actually underneath. So I'll still say Corey, press return, and now it says nice to meet you, Corey. Very clean and nice. Okay, I want to do one more example, and this time we're going to try to get a number from the user. And here's a fun idea. Let's ask for dollars. You know, how many dollars are you carrying? Okay, and so how many dollars are in your pocket is the input here. Just trying to make a fun example for you all. The key is to get a number in that we're going to do something with. And so the idea here is that the computer is going to be clever. Of course, who's the computer, right? That's us, the programmer, and say something like, okay, we're going to tell them how many quarters that is. And so how many quarters is that? Well, there are 4 quarters for every dollar. So in effect, you can multiply the number of dollars by 4. And then, okay, that's code to be run. You know, in programming, each line goes one at a time. And then the print is what can be displayed here. So put in another F string. I can say that. So if I do apostrophe S, I can use the backslash again that'll allow the apostrophe. And then quarters is the number I want to put in. So inside of the curly brackets, and then the word quarters. Okay. Note that here the quarters is the number, and then this is simply the string, right? Okay, so let's try this. And if maybe I remember this time to put the new line here. So press Shift Enter. How many dollars are in your pocket? I'm just making something up. 8. And this is interesting. It says that's 8,888 quarters. What do you know? We have cracked the matrix. Just put $8 in your pocket and you're rich. Okay, no, there's a mistake here. And the mistake is that, you might want to check the type of dollars. Okay, go ahead and do that. How would you check the type of dollars? Well, recall you can use the keyword type, put in dollars, Shift Enter, and you can see it's actually a string. And so you can, just like you can add strings together, you can actually multiply. And so 4 times the string is going to show it 4 times. And so what we actually want to do is convert it to an integer. And so in this particular case, we need to put int dollars. And a simple way to do this is just to redefine it. That way, in case you're carrying the code forward, dollars will simply be an integer. And note too that the string here, type string is always going to be the case when you're interacting with a user. So just because somebody types in a number doesn't mean you can do numerical things with it. You actually need to convert it to an integer or a float first. Okay? And the nice thing about f strings is it is going to report back as a string when it shows up. Okay, so we'll try this again. I kind of want to leave though, I like that 888 up there. And so I think what I'm going to do is leave it and actually copy the code, put it under here. I'll take this out because we didn't do that conversion there. And now let's see if it works correctly. Go ahead and get the code up. Make sure that you're doing a conversion. And you don't have to do the conversion on a separate line. You could do it in the line before. There are multiple approaches to this. Go ahead and press Shift Enter to run the code. How many dollars are in your pocket? Okay, 8. Press Return. That's 32 quarters. Okay, well, it's not 32 quarters, it's $8, but that's worth 32 quarters. Anyway, I think you get the idea here. This is a common mistake that people make when programming, is that just because like you're given integers from other users, they come in as strings, okay? Keyboard input is strings, and you're gonna need to do the conversions on your own. But that's a nice little introduction to the input function, which makes programming really fun because it does allow you to interact with others.